This particular storage unit deal came to us from a sales rep that had an off-market listing essentially that was coming. We got it really early, so we put it under contract. It is a 60-unit storage complex on 5 acres. And the goal was to develop and add 260 units to it. It currently had 9,000 square feet on it, and we're adding another 30,000 square feet. That was after getting connected with Scott, essentially, to find out information about it, do the desktop study, and see what's appropriate. Just a great deal to pursue after talking with Scott about it and getting expert advice from it.
Me and Brian got introduced in Collective Genius, and I started, I saw what he was doing buying rentals. I was doing a lot of fix and flips and wholesaling, and then we were interested in doing other commercial deals, multifamily and storage development deals, but we didn't really know where to start. So when this one came up, it looked like a deal, but we weren't sure. So we just had, we reached out to Scott and just had him glance it over if he thought it was worth us even pursuing. And if it wasn't, why was it not, so that we know what to look for next time. And we looked over this one and it was kind of tough to pencil out. And then we found out later that we could split the lots, and a deal that we may have passed on before turned into, we were able to make work because of Scott's expertise and Brian knowing the area, knowing the property well, and he was able to make the other half of it work for a warehouse for himself, so it worked out for everybody.
You know, the beauty of Collective Genius is the community that Jason has created, and not only he, but Leon and Frank and Mark and Eric, you know, they all know intimately what everybody else is doing within the CG. And so if you got a question about an asset class or an issue that you're dealing with, like taxes or anything else, and you go to any one of them, they will connect you with that person to be able to help. And so they presented the deal. I took a look at it, and we dug in a little bit further. I said, yeah, I think you got an opportunity here, so, you know, what do you need from me? And so, like any good partnership, it's like, well, here's the deal. You know, what's it going to take to get to the finish line? And here are the resources that we have, and here's what I provide. And it was just a really good fit.
Yeah, and Scott had the whole team put together on the operations side to get everything rolling, and saved us, you know, years of trial and error and trying to figure out what we should and shouldn't do. He has a punch list of every single item you need to do, and he has people on his team that could help us execute on every bit of it that we could never have done alone. We'd have the learning curve to figuring it out would have taken us a long time, and we probably would have made a lot more mistakes along the way.
Neither of us have a lot of development experience, and Scott does, so bringing Scott in was hypercritical to that. And me and Casey had multiple conversations of like, we don't know what we need to be doing, you know, because we were relying on Scott, his expertise and his team to do that, and we were totally fine with that. Whether we made money or not, it didn't matter to us. For one, it's a learning experience to go through the process. If this were to cost me money, it's well worth the lessons I've learned from it. We had this conversation a lot of, yeah, we're getting paid to learn in this scenario. And we had that conversation multiple times, and we remember talking with Scott specifically about it, where we're like, hey man, we don't have a lot to offer here. I mean, here's the deal, you know, all this, you know, we don't mind funding some money at closing and figuring out how we needed to structure it, but his asset manager took over, his assistant has helped, and we've been on multiple Zoom calls to discuss the situations, and not knowing the process from getting a civil engineering firm to work with the builder to work with, you know, all the different aspects of it. We're going through that process right now and learning, and that's all because of Scott's team essentially that has set everything up for us.
And it's cool to make money on your own, but it's a lot more fun to make money with people that you enjoy working with, and long-term partnerships and the scale that you can do with the help of everyone else. If I was in Scott's market and I would have called him, it's very unlikely that I would have had the opportunity to be able to sit down with him, even look at this deal, because you know, you get people that reach out to you when you're doing things in a high level in your market and you just don't have time for it. But because of Collective Genius, it's like the door's just open and you have that warm introduction.
It's completely different, as Casey just mentioned. If you were to call me out of the blue in my market, you know, I'm going to hold probably 50% to my chest and maybe help him out if he was referred by somebody. But the fact that these guys are in Collective Genius, then, you know, there's just that level of trust that immediately, you know, you'll share your entire business model in hopes that you'll be able to help them or perhaps even to do business. And so I think that is the difference. It's just, it's an immediate, you know, there's no walls to go down. You know, so when a phone call is made, it's just, you know, hey, we're here because we're members of Collective Genius. And we're here to give, so how can I help? And that's refreshing, and you just don't find that anywhere else in the marketplace unless it's within the CG community.
The caliber connections are top notch. I mean, for any industry, you have specialists in every single industry related to almost anything real estate, from sending mailers to calling to TV ads to, I mean, literally anything, Facebook marketing, left main, if you need some kind of CRM. There's all sorts of different connections you can make specifically within CG, not just for deals, but for help with your own business. Even if you don't want to maybe take on a partner or work with someone on a deal, you can still get connected to things that will vastly help your business.
When I look back, I've been in CG for 7 years now. And in the beginning, and I was aware of CG. I had heard about it because I've been in the real estate circles and through other areas, and also through Corey Boatwright.
Yeah.
And coming from the commercial real estate world, I knew that CG at the time wasn't necessarily a lot of commercial, and so I didn't really know what to expect coming in. And I told Jason, well, let me try this out, and he said, well, you have to contribute. That's the main thing here. And I thought, well, I've already been through all that single family stuff and everything else. And then I came in, was absolutely blown away by the business builders, which is really what I wanted anyways. And to see the level and the amount of activity, deal flow, and the way that these guys are scaling up their businesses in Collective Genius has been incredible. And so, so many folks, when they come into CG, they go through phases where you come in and all of a sudden you see the level of some of the top folks and you just feel like, oh, I don't belong in the room. But then you get inspired immediately after that, and then you realize that, hey, I'm only going to get out of this what I put into it, and I'm going to make those connections, and I'm going to seek those connections where I have blind spots and where I need help. And I don't know if it's trite to say or not, but man, if you can't get an answer to your question that you have in your business from no matter what, a problem, a challenge, growth, a key person you need to add to your team as a vendor or elsewise, if you can't find it in CG, you're either not looking or it just doesn't exist, period.
If you're on the fence of joining CG, to me, it's a no-brainer because it's not just, the direct deals that you'll end up doing with somebody. It's so easy to make those connections, and but the way that your business will grow and the millions, tens of millions of dollars that people are spending every single month in their marketing is trial and error that you don't have to suffer through. Your business will grow exponentially, and that alone is worth it. But you'll end up doing deals directly with people or outside of partnering with them. A lot of times, if there's members in other markets, they'll just refer their leads to you. I've made my return tenfold just on random leads that they refer in my market that they would have done nothing with otherwise.